Good evening and welcome to Pixels and Pints. My name's Tom. I have with me Peter.
Hello.
And Dan.
Hi. I'm still making notes.
He's still making notes. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. We've got 2 beers ready to go, primed and charged. It is a lovely, balmy Wednesday night. It's dry for once.
Try for once, yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just going to talk about a whole lot of beer stuff, pop culture stuff, and other shit that comes into our heads, and we'll probably cut each other off about 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Anyway, enjoy.
I'll try and stay quiet for a change.
Bullshit. Calling it now.
I said try.
No, I'm calling bullshit on that.
You're not going to try.
All right, go on, Snyder Cut, do it. I haven't seen it. I don't care.
Okay, we're going to kick off with the big topic.
Yeah.
All right.
Well.
Yeah, you don't care.
Well, the plot didn't change fundamentally. It's not like there's many spoilers.
No, I guess it didn't.
I guess that's more, I don't care about the spoilers or anything, so like go ham.
Superman's dead at the start.
What?
And some bad guys come, and Bruce Wayne decides that he needs to recruit extra heroes to defend against Earth. They realize they're not powerful enough to defeat them without Superman. They resurrect Superman. Superman saves everyone's ass. The end.
Did they fix his moustache?
Oh yeah, there wasn't even a whisper of any of that.
I actually enjoyed that, to be honest. I thought it was weird, but I liked it.
For people that don't know, they had to CGI out.
I keep getting things in my head to write down. I haven't written a single thing since we started talking, and they keep popping in, and then I think about what you're talking about.
Sorry.
No, it's all right. Continue. I should have been more prepared.
They brought fucking... My brain's just not functioning this evening. I was talking about work earlier. They brought Superman back. Chris...
I'm just going to write those notes later on when I think about it.
Cavill.
Your first smoke.
I'm going to pour a beer.
They brought Henry Cavill. Fucking hell, seriously, what is wrong with me? They brought Henry Cavill back for reshoots towards the end of Justice League, but he had already grown a moustache for his next role.
Mission Impossible, whatever it was.
4.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah?
10. 6?
No.
5, I think.
Rogue Nation?
I think it was 5.
Rogue Nation?
Whatever it is. He has a very delightful moustache.
He does.
And as someone who is trying to
Looks like it's a porn stachio.
adhere to that,
He was good in that movie.
I can
too.
appreciate
He
it.
was
Yes, he
good in Mission
was.
Impossible.
Yeah.
It was a shit movie, but he was good in it.
He plays good wood.
And they passed Norway off as some other country at the end of it.
Okay.
Well, Tom, the very end of... We're completely off topic
This
already.
is how we get a 2-hour episode out of
so-
one topic.
Out of no one having anything to talk about.
So at the end of that Mission Impossible, whichever it is, Rogue Nation, I think it is.
Yeah, I think it was.
They finish the fucking helicopter chase scene,
Yep.
and they finish on the cliffside.
Yep.
And then I started to look at it and gone, I fucking know that. I know that like set of rocks kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then finally they pull back from it, and it's Pulpit Rock in Norway, and they've completely passed it off as some like this is one of the most famous like outlooks in Norway, and they've completely passed it off as another country.
Yeah, it was some sort of Russian micronation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like an Eastern European
bloc,
country there somewhere.
Is that the like the cliffside rock thing that's in Thor, like in Ragnarok, where Odin dies?
No.
No, that's just a. This
generic
thing
cliff
is
face, yeah.
fucking high.
Yeah.
Pulpit Rock is enormous. It took us 3 hours to walk up there.
So they got him in for reshoots, and he had a mo, so they had to digitally remaster it out, and it just didn't look right.
It looked like a bad Instagram filter or like Snapchat filter.
They fucking led with it in the Joss Whedon version.
Yeah.
They led with a shitty like the kids recording for their podcast on their phone. And it didn't look right. It was literally the opening to the movie with fake Superman, like
it looked like the whole of Superman.
His rubber lip.
Yeah, it looked like the whole of Superman was badly CGI'd. When in fact it was really him. It was just his lip that had been.
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of funny, like that Joss was involved, because if you remember the credit scene from the original Avengers, which was directed by Joss, the shawarma eating scene. I don't know if you know this fun little bit of trivia, but if you watch where Steve Rogers he's eating like this, and he's sitting like he's got his hand on his cheek, but he's facing one way, and it's because he'd grown his beard for Snowpiercer, and they did that little reshoot, and so that was the way they hit it. Like he just literally had his hand, yeah, and he doesn't turn his face or do anything. Everyone else kind of like moves around a little bit, and like they all meant to look like defeated and tired after the big fight. But yeah, they hid his beard by like just him putting his hand on it.
Well, I think that was a reshoot too, because I remember
was.
seeing
Yeah,
some things
they
that
came back
Thor's
for it.
hair was different or something, or
Yeah.
some crazy thing.
Do you want to park the? We haven't even really started on Zack Snyder's
No.
cut. Do you want to park that and talk about the beer?
We're already bagging the original Justice League cut.
So this is Three Ravens from Thornbury down in Melbourne. Melbourne's oldest independent brewery, according to their can. This is the Summer of Creamsicle from summer 20 to 21. This is 3 of 4. They did 4 releases. I've got the last 2. So we have tonight, the first one we're having now is the Pina Colada Creamsicle. It is 1 standard drink.
So it's a lactose sour.
Fruited sour beer with lactose and vanilla. 3.5%. Based on our original sour beer acid, this seasonal variation includes rolled wheat and lactose to provide an extra silky body, vanilla, coconut, and French oak to enhance the fluffy mouthfeel and creamy flavour. And it's fermented with pineapple juice for an experience that will take you back to the swim up at the bar at the hotel.
I think it hits the mark for what it is.
Yeah, I almost get it's almost got a banana estery flavour
Does it?
to it,
Yeah.
which is really the vanilla.
It's vanilla and the lactose probably working together.
Yeah, it's very light.
Yeah.
But the original Three Ravens acid is almost water. Like it's so light and so refreshing.
This would be great on summer.
Yeah.
In summer.
I wouldn't drink too many,
Why?
but lactose and everything. Lactose and vanilla, I think it'd get a little headachy, palate fatiguey.
Yeah.
Like eating too much ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Good-
that's
good
a
in-
thing.
good in small
So
amounts.
that's the thing.
For somebody who doesn't eat particularly
Yeah,
ice cream.
You're lactose intolerant too.
Coconut ice cream's really good.
There you go.
Yeah. But I still wouldn't eat. I'm not big on sugar anyway. So, but
That's enjoyable, though.
I think it's really nice. I think it's really nice. Yeah.
Very
Really.
light. And is it undercarbed or is it designed to be that way? Do you think? Because it's got no head on it whatsoever.
Cara.
Cara wants attention.
It's getting to the end of its life.
But
to be
also
honest.
sours usually have very low head retention anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Because it just the nature of it just destroys the proteins. Doesn't allow it to form.
It is very smooth, but
It will
it's going to
form-
be gone in 10 seconds.
Sours will form foam to start with, but usually it dissipates. They're usually big rocky bubbles
Yep.
rather
Yep.
than nice creamy.
This says it was packaged on the 28th of October in 20, and it's best before the 28th of April 21. So we're almost there.
Yeah, yeah. Cool.
And then the one we have next, might as well get it out of the way, and then we can talk about when we pour it, is the cherry.
Ooh, nice. Yeah,
Yeah, looking forward to that one.
Same
Yeah,
same
something
lactose
different.
lactose and vanilla.
Yeah,
It's basically the same exact blurb, except they took out pineapple, fermented with pineapple juice, and put in fermented with cherry juice.
Yeah,
Cool.
excellent.
Meant to be like something from the milk bar freezer.
So obviously still vanilla-y.
Yes, still got lactose and vanilla in it.
It'd be interesting to see if I get that same banana ester out of it as well. I somehow doubt it. But it's got lactose and
Who
it's
knows?
got...
Yeah, got vanilla in it. Wait and see.
So Zack Snyder. I honestly, and it's going to probably be quite an unpopular view, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did too.
And I can... well, there you go. I can also tell that if Zack had helmed the rest of the movie, or he'd helmed it all the way through, he probably would have brought people in for reshoots or added more footage to clean up just a little bit. Because it did need some cleaning up.
It did.
You could tell that he hadn't fully realized his vision. And it was a perfect example. Zack Snyder did an interview, I think, yesterday, where someone asked him why, what is the real reason that Superman stops fighting the Justice League? Because obviously in the original cut, he fights them quite a lot and flies away with Lois. And it's kind of obvious that he connects with Lois and that brings back the memories, and they end up back on the Kent farm and kind of reestablish. And that still happens in Zack Snyder's cut as well. But Zack Snyder flat out said the reason he reconnected with her is because he could see that she was pregnant. And then he went through a whole emotional roller coaster of his two fathers. He comes to terms with being both Kal-El and Clark Kent and his two dads. And that's kind of why, that's what brings him back to reality rather than just seeing his his girlfriend, I suppose, his widow. Well, anyway.
Fiance?
Yeah.
Yeah, widowed fiance.
So
Which is foreshadowed earlier, obviously, quite blatantly when she opens the drawer and the pregnancy test is
yes,
in there.
it was very blatant.
This is probably the biggest spoiler of the entire thing.
That's fine because I'd already seen that on the internet. Not that exactly, but that originally Zack had apparently planned for the son of Lois and Superman to become the next Batman. If he made his
Let's just throw the whole comic lore out the window, and I mean that's super.
That you know what, that could be fucking interesting, like really interesting. If you went to that future nightmare world, that dark side world, and the kids there as a younger, different sort of,
like a much darker, grittier Superboy.
Yeah, but a Batman with some like half human, half Kryptonian, so not all of the powers of his father, but true. Like earthbound because of the mother side, and have him a more supernatural.
It would have been an interesting.
I guess him trying to control like his superhuman strength with like the training of Batman. I guess that'd be which is kind of what Superman. That's the problem. Well, not the problem. That's the problem. I guess Bruce faces when he's trying to train Damian.
Yeah.
Is like holding back that you can actually kill anyone, but you're not meant to.
Yeah. Oh, and it'd be cool if you had him able to jump really high instead of fly. So you could still do all of the acrobatic training that Batman would put you through as Robin. And
I think
cool
I think that would actually be a really goddamn interesting
idea.
That
was what Snyder had planned if he'd been able to make a follow-up, because it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, kind of.
It's bookended by a weird... and that was another example of what I feel was an unfinished, unfleshed out idea.
The Nightmare World.
Was the Nightmare World.
It finishes with a new version. Well, not a new version, the Nightmare World. But that's what
I think that was intentional. It was meant to be a cliffhanger for Justice League 2 or whatever.
Superman's evil and... Well, no, I don't...
He's not. So he's on Darkseid's side. But Superman's been brainwashed by Darkseid so many times in the comics.
Not just Darkseid. I mean, he was in the Blackest Night. I'm fairly sure he went bad. There was an animated movie that
the entire Injustice game is based around.
Actually, I think it was the Injustice movie that I'm thinking of.
Isn't Injustice just him going like fuck this shit?
Joker kills Lois.
It's not him being mind controlled though. It's just him going snapping. Fuck this shit. Yeah. So Darkseid a lot of the time
I think
does
Injustice
mind control.
2 brought in Brainiac, who was somehow involved.
Yeah, would have mind controlled him.
Never played it.
So I'm with you. I really enjoyed it. I did. The funny thing was the two things. Obviously, we spoke about the aspect ratio, which was just fucking
I heard about this.
An insanity choice.
Why?
Like, why choose it? The second thing was it's a 4-hour movie, but I reckon about 2.5 to 3 hours of that 4-hour movie is the slow motion.
Yeah.
If everything, I really want to know.
10.35% of it is in slow motion.
Yeah, there was an article about it today.
IGN figured it out. They watched it and they counted all the seconds and they figured it out. It's 10.35% of it.
So did they work out if it had run at normal speed, how much time that would have taken off? That's what I want to know.
No, I think it was like.
So hang on, what are you saying? That what did IGN figure out? That 10% of the movie as a whole was in slow motion.
Yeah,
right. So if you assume they're shooting at 120 frames a second and you're watching it at roughly 30, because I think
it was like 27 minutes of slow mo.
So you're at a quarter speed. You're at a quarter speed roughly.
Okay, so that's about what it is.
Right. So if 10% of a 4-hour movie, there's 10% of what's 4 times 6 to 240 minutes. There's 24 minutes worth of slow mo.
It was something around that, yeah. I think it's like 26 minutes and 37 seconds or something.
So it could have brought it down to just over 3 hours if there was less slow motion.
No, you'd be at least 3.5 because you've still got to play the footage at normal speed. So
I'm being facetious.
Your 24 minutes turns into 6 minutes at real time, right?
Did it feel to you that a lot more than 10% was in fucking slow motion?
You know what? I didn't even notice it as an annoyance.
So it wasn't an annoyance. It was just there was so.
I just didn't take note. It's like
is it all Flash?
No. It's absolutely everybody.
And I've got to say they fleshed out Cyborg and Flash so much better in the Snyder Cut.
And Flash wasn't he was still meant to be the comedy relief.
Yeah,
but he wasn't the fucking slapstick idiot.
He wasn't a flibbertigibbet.
Yeah. And
is that a technical term?
Flippity gibbet. There was a few little scenes in there that were the same scenes from the Joss Whedon version, the original version, but
Completely
done
recontextualized.
Exactly. So when Wonder Woman meets Cyborg for the first time, in the original, Cyborg's in his hoodie, just walking up the street, and it's exactly the same shot of Diana in this.
It's the same lead in too. So he takes over. Well, there's less lead in. He takes over the computer and messages her.
So she meets him in the street, and in the original version, he just walks up in his hoodie. They have a little bit of a yammity argument about him doing the right thing and being part of the team, and then he just walks off. In this one, she's on the street. He disrupts all of the electricals in the area, which is obviously trying to turn off any CC cameras and everything.
And very Constantine.
Yeah, it was actually, and he flies in and lands, and it was such more of a dynamic scene because by that time of the movie he'd already come to terms with who he was and what he was doing, and he wasn't a fucking mopey shit until the last 10 minutes of the movie, and actually contributed.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and as you say, Barry Allen's a lot less dumb and just. Like he was just a weak character in the original cut, and he actually has a little bit more depth. I'd say they probably explored him the least, which is funny because in the original cut, certainly Cyborg was explored the least.
Yeah,
it made more sense that the group came together. There was a lot less disharmony between the members.
Yeah,
there was still the comic relief of Aquaman really not like his one-liners. He's a Thor. He plays that kind of Thor role where he's the big tough badass who says gruff shit in a gruff voice, and it's always fucking funny.
And they do play him exactly the same too, because they have him say dumb things, but he's not dumb.
Yeah,
he acts the idiot, but he's not. He's he's the king,
and he can see what's going
Atlantis.
on. And I felt it gelled the team much better. Having him not constantly pulling away from the rest of the group. Once he's in, he was in, and he was balls deep. He could see what was going on. He could see the need to defend Earth, and there was just no drama for the sake of drama inside that group.
Yeah,
the whole reshoot in the warehouse, in Bruce's warehouse where the ship is, it was actually, I think it was Wayne Tech Aerospace was the hangar. In the original one, that's where they had the big argument, and Diana punches Bruce Wayne, and
but
that's all gone.
But that was obviously Joss Whedon reshoots, because if you look at that, Ben Affleck's quite swollen from his alcoholism, so he's quite swollen at that point, and it's quite blatant. You can see it. He's puffy in the face and red in the face, and thankfully, because I love him as Batman, and I've been over this dozens of times, and I like him as an actor too. I think his movies are really good and everything. But you could just see it was such a stark contrast in that original cut. And in this one, it doesn't. He flows through, and it feels like he was there and present for the whole thing as an actor in that part.
Yeah.
You don't at any point go, fuck, he's just absolutely just phoning it in. Like you can see on his face that he's phoning it in. But he doesn't. He follows all the way through, even to that little extra obviously a reshoot right at the end.
Yep.
In the mansion. I don't know if you want that spoiled as well.
Martian Manhunter?
I've
already seen it.
If anything, that
the internet's a horrible place.
That was
nothing.
I felt that was weak. That scene at the end when Martian Manhunter talks to or introduces himself to Bruce was weak.
It was
an afterthought.
It was quite obviously a reshoot because Ben Affleck looked older and much fitter than what he did even when in the original.
When he was stacked for.
So, but that felt to me like Snyder being a little cheeky, saying to the fans, well, this is what we could have if you are loud enough and we get a second one. And that's what I felt that came out of that.
And they've already shut that down. They've already said that we're not going to bend to
That's a shame.
Yeah,
that is a shame.
And if anything, that's the one disappointment I had is it's so close to being a good movie, not a shit movie. You could easily tell that if he'd helmed it all the way through and finished his project, his vision, it probably would have been a great movie. It seamlessly moved from Batman v Superman, so Man of Steel BVS. It's far more integrated into kind of that trilogy that he'd already written and directed. I don't know, he probably didn't write it, but he certainly directed them, and would have taken us into a DCU, a proper DCU. And there was so much more to explore with those characters. They were cast well, and they're all gone. None of them are coming back.
There's, I think they were still talking about using... I want to say Idris Elba, but that's not him.
No.
The Flash, the kid who plays the Flash. He's got a weird name.
Is it? I keep thinking Zac Efron. I don't know why.
It's not him.
There is some Shazam news we will talk about, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's still directors and directors out for that, but I think they'll just scrap the whole thing. They'll recast in 3 or 4 years
When everyone's forgotten the pain. Yeah. But it's almost more painful. Like, before Zack Snyder's cut came out, it was like, if he'd finished the movie, it would have been fucking fantastic and brilliant and awesome and all the rest of it. Now we've seen it. You've got enough of a taste to go, we know it was going to be awesome, but we'll never get to see it in its entirety, and we'll never get to see the follow-on movies.
And that nightmare world is what we needed.
Yes.
We needed a little lead in with some of those, whatever they were going to do with Martian Manhunter.
Yeah.
And then lead into 2 hours of the fucking nightmare world. And have it something different, and then close it off. Close that entire DCU off.
Yep.
At the end of...
But there's so many other places they could have gone. I mean, Deathstroke could have had his own spin-off movie. There was a lot of stuff they could have done with that universe.
Well, Deathstroke was meant to be the Batman.
The Ben Affleck Batman was meant to be him being Deathstroke. Yeah.
Yeah. And that would have been great. Manganiello is fucking awesome, especially in that nightmare world with the fucking mohawk. And man, that was... Sign me up for him. And
Joker, the dialogue at the end in that nightmare scene didn't quite gel for me, though. It was a little bit too drawn out. It was a little bit too wacky.
Is this the Joker dialogue?
Joker's dialogue specifically, but that whole scene was a bit off.
Snyder said in an interview that it was a lot of Jared Leto ad-libbing as well.
Yeah.
Really absorbing the
Jared
character.
Leto is like a really fucking solid pick for Joker. I would have loved to have seen his own movie.
I think I really enjoyed that Joker dialogue. And I don't know whether they did it intentionally, but you've obviously heard the stories, the theory that Joker is Jason Todd.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Jason Todd's suit in the glass.
Yeah.
I think that dialogue actually led in really well. It could have, obviously people go, oh, well, he's talking about, because his little monologue, have you watched that scene? No. His little monologue is talking about Bruce having lost someone like a father would lose someone. So he quite blatantly talks about beating Jason Todd to death in not so many words. But it also could be, because then Deathstroke says to him, do you regret bringing him along? And it could be construed that actually is Jason Todd, and he took him along because he still has that fatherly attachment to him. And that
would have been cool to explore.
That might not have been anything. That's how I read it, and that's how I listened to what Joker was saying and how Batman reacted to it, and how in the end he said he would kill him.
Yep.
And
I just felt the dialogue was a bit discordant. Like it was.
I know what you
made
mean.
Me feel almost awkward. To watch. And whilst that is Joker's personality anyway, I also think it could have been accidental. It could have been just a reaction to the ad-libbing, or it could have been Zack Snyder, setting that up, because you're in the nightmare world, so the tone is discordant to start with.
Yeah.
And it is, I guess, consistent with at least the world that it's set in. Anyway, we should talk about this beer quickly, because it...
Talk about this beer quickly, and then I have a question Snyder, I guess the sum up of the Snyder Cut for you.
It's a nice sour. I get a little bit of cherry in there. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more cherry. But it's a nice, and I know I say this about sours too, and I say it inverted commas. It's a nice clean sour.
It's almost oaty.
They said they had
wheaty,
oats. They had
wheaty oaty. Yeah,
I get a weird flavor out of it.
Yep. Yeah,
enjoyable.
I don't think it's not as much of a cherry hit as I was hoping.
It would have been much darker and redder if it had. I think
it's definitely on the. There definitely is on the back palate there.
Yeah,
I prefer the first one.
I'm trying to remember the other two that they had. They were kind of standard sour fruits that you would use in fruiting sours. I guess my question for you guys, having seen it, and I will eventually watch it, it's just not something that's in my need to see yet. I'll eventually get around to it. Was all the hype around it worth it for it to be done? And I guess in the end, was it?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
It lived up?
Yeah, it needed to be done. That fucking schmozzle that we got. And I think Warner Brothers, somebody's going to be sitting there going, somebody will be taking
We
credit.
fucked up.
Somebody will be taking credit for letting him do it, and then somebody will be going, "Oh yeah, okay, well we really fucked up that first time."
Well, they didn't. They didn't fuck up. I mean, Zack Snyder's daughter committed suicide and he left the project. It wasn't a Warner Brothers decision. It's not like someone axed him.
Oh, I think they kind of. There's a little bit that they forced him out as well, and
they
because
weren't really giving the time for him to
grieve.
Well, to grieve and then eventually come back to it. They were just like, no, we've got to get this out.
Right. Okay.
So that's why they were like pushing Joss to come in and do it.
And then they wanted to. They wouldn't continue his story, so that's why there were so many reshoots, and they wanted to bend to being more like Marvel, being more comedy based, and it just didn't work.
And yet they had all the ingredients they needed to kind of rival MCU with their own IP and their own color. It doesn't have to match the tone. It doesn't have to. You don't have to have exactly equivalent characters. The comics don't.
Yeah,
and yet they're both independently successful from each other.
You know what? Kind of topic or kind of off topic. DC's just moving into their new era. And
New 53?
Yeah, New 53. And one of the new comics is called The New Batman.
Okay.
And this is why when you said, I haven't read any of it yet, I'm going to because it fucking looks cool. The new Batman has the bat suit, but then the mouthpiece is all blacked out. So he's got a full mouthpiece as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's still sort of cut the same way, but there's a black piece over the mouth as well. So I don't know who it is. So
Okay.
I'm really interested in it. It looks cool. So then this new sort of time jump forward, it looks really interesting. I think.
Cool.
I think it looks more interesting. They've done a few little bits and pieces. A few years ago, they'd let out some one shots, or I think it was maybe 2 or 3. There was a bit of a time jump, and Bruce had this mad mechanical back brace thing on.
So he's busted his spine at some point.
Been busted up so bad that he's now got this steel outside exoskeleton steel back brace. So
That's cool.
roadie, War Machine-ish, yeah. So that was good. So I'm hoping it's sort of a continue on from that.
What was your second question?
Oh, I guess was it worth it for like all the hype that was around it compared to the original? But then if you could in your mind erase the original cut, like I guess that was what you wanted? What was the movie you got?
Been.
Yeah, would it have been what you wanted?
Just conscious we've got 2 minutes before the camera cuts out. From my perspective, it would have been. If he'd finished the project to his vision, it would have been.
To his vision, yeah. I think if they'd released what it is now back then, it still would have gotten panned for a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah, okay.
But I think Pete's right. I think if he'd been able to do it while he was doing it and bring people back in to fill in the gaps properly.
Yep.
And it probably would have been a 3-hour movie too, because he would have had a chance to compress the storyline. It was
meant to be 2.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it was meant to roll through to the Nightmare World.
Yeah,
and then the second one was meant to be the Nightmare World.
So you'd have to assume there's probably only another 2 hours left for a 6-hour with a 3-hour, in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but definitely worth the hype. And I'm glad they did it.
Yes.
Which is interesting, considering like a few episodes ago, I think we both said like it's never going to live up to the hype. Or maybe we just said it in the chat.
I'm amazed.
No. Oh, yeah,
You've done a full
definitely.
Full 180.
I am still amazed at just how much footage they cut to be able to put it back in for the Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't much from the original cut.
No.
No, I will watch it and I will give it the time of day it deserves. Like,
yeah.
Obviously, but yeah, I'm just...
We got about half an hour into it. I'm very conscious of the camera, Pete.
Sorry.
The camera!
We got about half an hour into it, and I turned to Louise and went, this is pretty good.
I want to hate it.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I didn't want to hate it. I went in with such low expectations of it. That
Which is probably nice
just
to have done, yeah.
It did.
I would actually like to see someone who was hyped for it and ask them if...
it'd probably be quite a different...
Ben's got a lot to say. At some point, we do need to get Ben on to talk to it. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. And we're back. So yes, look, we could probably talk about Snyder for the whole fucking episode, but we may...
I'm sure we'll touch on it again in the future.
Yeah.
That would be
probably in 5 minutes.
Very boring for me.
Some other topic comes up and it reminds us. So Dan, you said you had a few topics. Tom, have you got something ready to go?
I mean, I was thinking I could it's been enough now, and I'm not sure if you finally finished it, but I could go into the end of WandaVision, and definitely I can talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier because that was a great first episode.
I haven't seen all the WandaVision, but I don't care either.
Oh, okay.
We're now swapping places.
How good? Have you?
Yeah. I've
finished it?
Seen everything.
Yep.
Yawn.
Fair.
Oh, really? Is that it went
Oh, no,
out with a fizzle, dude?
I don't agree with him, but I was like that. That's fair. That's your opinion.
Oh, okay.
It's wrong, but yeah, sure.
You're entitled to be wrong.
You are. Yeah, no, it was. It covers a whole heap of shit that's going to set up a lot of stuff that's going to come up next in the MCU. It was a really good way to.
It was a segue. They turned a segue to, they've got to explain how suddenly she has world-altering powers, and they've got to introduce Agatha as a character.
But it was also just a step back from, like, the last episode, sure, has the classic superhero trope, like, of any TV show or movie where it needs to have, like, they need to fight. But the whole series is just, sorry, Warner Brothers would never be brave enough to do that.
Oh
no,
fuck
definitely
no.
not.
Even from the first episode, there was no way they'd be
just the
brave
way they
enough to do
really
it.
just,
No.
like...
It's creative, and I've said that from the very beginning, right? They took a risk and did something that was artistically and creatively interesting and different. It's way out of zone for a typical MCU, production. And I gave them props for that when that first came out. I just found it fucking boring.
I think
she's not enough of a character. It's like watching Black Widow. I don't know how I'm going to see the Black Widow movie because I've never respected
Disney Plus.
Have you watched the trailer?
the lack of depth in the character.
Looks really good.
Because she's badass and she's in a tight bodysuit.
No, actually not completely. That's your point of view on that. The surrounding characters. I
But
think
that's the point. If you need strong surrounding characters, then there's not enough depth in the main character.
but
No, I disagree. I think main characters who can interact that well with supporting characters are more interesting. I find when you got a good supporting act,
I'll walk my statement back. You need strong supporting cast upon which a strong main character can bounce to drive
but also
the plot forward.
we're basing what we think of Black Widow off a 2-minute trailer. It could be
I haven't seen the trailer.
An excellent spy thriller.
I haven't seen the trailer.
But to what you were saying there, I think you're both completely right. But I mean, you go and you look at the 3 Iron Man movies, and Iron Man is the main character. Granted, we get Rhodey a little bit in number 2.
Yep.
But by the time you get to 3, it's the same shit.
Yeah.
You're seeing the same stuff. So you're focusing on a character that was great on his own to start with. And then you look at Captain America. He's got the Howling Commandos and Bucky in the first one. And then he's got...
Falcon and Black Widow.
I meant to call her Scarlet Witch. Black Widow and Falcon in the second one. And then you roll into Civil War. And he is one of the most interesting, well-acted characters there. And then he's supported by... His movies could be great on their own if he wasn't supported by all those excellent actors and characters, but then he is, so the movies are even better.
Yeah, the plot is driven forward by the people around him as well as his own character. I'm just saying that, if we get a fucking Hitman style, let's I don't know if I could survive another origin story, especially for a character.
4.6.
Okay.
Especially for a character I've struggled to connect with, right? Because I don't think they've gone enough into her past. Same as Hawkeye, right?
Yeah.
They're talking about potentially a Hawkeye Disney Plus TV series.
They're filming it.
Right, so they spoke a while ago about potentially, and it's now definitely. Hopefully, they'll explore his origin story because those two characters. Whilst I got the emotional hit at the end of Endgame in the sacrifice that they had to make and the interplay between them, the emotional hit only came from the interplay between them, not because you've kind of connected with them beyond the fact that they've just been there for so many movies.
Yeah. So on saying that, watch the trailer because it's her family that are the
bad guys?
Is it a sister and a mother?
Actual
sister as in...
Sister is in someone who's else from the Red Room.
Grew from it.
Yeah.
Grew up with her.
And then Russian Captain America, who is drunk.
And it's David, the guy who played Hellboy from...
and the guy from
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
David...
It's the cop.
David is
Harbour?
Harbour,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a good actor.
He's fucking great. And even just in the trailer, just his humor and the way he portrays that character.
I'm just saying.
And they look good. And anyway.
I'm just, look, maybe the
bad guy's cool.
Maybe they're solving exactly the problem I'm complaining about, and they're adding depth to a character that didn't have much depth.
I think that's
I've
exactly
always found her flimsy in the MCU. Out of all of the characters.
That's nice.
Do you want... Yeah, we can break out and talk about the beer.
Yeah. So this is from Small Batch, from the mind of Tex or Red. I don't know which one came up with this one. But it's we've got two. They're same base beer, slight difference in ABV, but they've also just hopped them differently. So the first one is the Hazy Oat Pale, number 1. This is double dry hopped with Galaxy and Vic's Secret.
Galaxy, 100%.
The second, the Oat Pale number 2 is Whirlpool charged with Galaxy and Vic's Secret, and I thought it'd be interesting to see.
Oh, so excuse me, same hops, different process.
Yeah.
Okay.
See how that changes the flavor.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
Experimental.
Yeah,
I'm
100%.
assuming that we're going to talk about just one of your beers just very, very quickly. All-Star IPA, is that Galaxy based?
No, it's all American hops.
That makes sense. Carry on.
That's why it's got the Captain America shield logo.
No, it doesn't. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. No, Disney, it doesn't. The old one was much more blatant.
Yeah.
Yes, but going back to WandaVision, and also I found it an excellent showcase of dealing with grief. It was poignant, and I found that.
Yeah. Okay. I can appreciate
because you see
that.
the way if like going back and looking on it, and I didn't realize until at the end when I actually thought about it, and like it's kind of the episodes where it changes each decade is like the 7 stages of grief and how she's dealing with the loss of vision.
7 stages of grief now?
6? Is it 6? I don't know.
Pretty sure it's only 4.
I
Maybe
think it's more than
they've added some more in the last few years, but
I don't know.
denial, negotiating, denial, anger, and acceptance.
Nah, there's a few more. They've added more. They figured out the brain a little more.
Them damn psychologists.
Yeah, they're clever. And I mean, also the Scarlet Witch costume they came up with in the end
Was fucking great. It was great. And
finally gave a like powerful like female character a thing that wasn't just like a short skirt and a tits out. It was fantastic. It was.
In fairness, they did the Scarlet Witch.
I'm going to look it up.
Sorry.
And they gave her like crown.
Yeah, I saw that they gave her the crown.
Yeah, the tiara,
I haven't seen the full.
So Black Widow's always been in a tight bodysuit, but you could also easily argue that as a spy, it's an appropriate costume for.
Oh, I think I'm more talking about like every single super like
I get it.
female superhero over the years. Like,
But I haven't finished because then you've got Captain Marvel, who is also in a functional outfit that isn't overtly overtly sexualized and revealing.
Oh, not at all.
So I think the MCU nails female costumes for the most part.
But
the comics don't.
If you go from what they had,
I don't know how you're going to get Power Girl in there with her double J's.
Jesus.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about more like from the start of like when in Age of Ultron, it was still a low cut kind of V-neck top she was wearing.
She actually looks scary.
Yeah, she's meant to be.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
she's chaos magic embodied.
And that was interesting. So look, I found the series slow and a bit yawny at times.
But I think we needed that after the whole Endgame, like the finishing of Endgame.
If it was the counterpoint to Endgame,
it was like a breather.
The anticlimax. I could kind of get it. I really struggled with it. I watched it all the way through, and I'm glad I did. It's not a series that I would have preferred to have. I didn't get to the end and go, I've just wasted 8 hours of my life. I'm never getting back. I just thought you could probably have compressed it into a 90-minute movie. You wouldn't have been able to do all the special effects of them moving through the decades as easily. It's not impossible. You could have still done it.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't have been as separated as much too, because you're not finishing an episode in one decade with a transition and starting next.
True.
I did very much enjoy the vision on vision fight, and then it just became a theological debate or philosophical
That was
debate.
cool.
That was very fun.
That was well written.
I I loved it when he did, I think it was like episode 1 or 2 or something, when he has the chewing gum, swallows the chewing gum, and they showed like the old cartoon
the
internals, and
cogs.
it gunks up in him, and then he's just fucked for the whole magic show. I thought that was great. I thought it was so well acted.
Yeah.
And
But they are good actors. I mean, they're fucking
Oh, they
movie
are.
actors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
gone are the days where there was a difference in skill level between TV actors and movie actors.
yeah, but the level for both of them to have pulled that off, I want to know how many takes some of those things took where they just couldn't keep straight faces, and they just cracked up because they look, and they looked like they were having fun.
Paul Bettany, I've seen some of the. Is that how you pronounce his surname? Yeah, I've seen some of the behind the scenes footage in the MCU movies, and he is the clown.
Oh, he's a bit of a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As is Robert Downey.
But yes, and then very important at the end was the astral projection.
Yeah.
The credit scene. So there's remember how when Doctor Strange was sleeping, his astral form was still studying.
Okay. I haven't seen it in a long time, but
Doctor Strange. Yeah. So there's a scene where he's asleep, but his astral form floats above him and studying. Without any sort of training, her astral form is studying while she is awake and moving, just indicating how powerful she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, she was awake and moving, but wasn't she sitting on the porch?
And she got up and made a cup of tea.
Yeah, it's not like she was.
Yeah, but for him to be the Sorcerer Supreme,
I get it.
and
Yeah,
the
true,
level of
true.
difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just indicating of that and like what that will lead to. And she's studying the Darkhold, which is like the big bad book of magic in the MCU. And there's a whole thing about like she created the kids, but are the kids actually real? And then as her astral form is studying the Darkhold, she hears the kids scream.
Yeah,
That's a perfect
Yeah.
lead into Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah.
And whether or not she's going to be a
bad.
yeah, like anti-hero, like
Yeah.
because of she needs to get that back for her.
So when they brought Quicksilver over from,
I
I
thought
should
that
just
was
watch
brilliant.
it right, and just watch it. I see. I'm not up to that. That's our next episode, but I obviously know he was in there when they brought him into it. So he was playing Petro,
Yes.
and he was playing the X-Men version of Petro, or he was an embodiment of.
There's no way to answer the questions you're asking without spoiling the plot.
That's why I'm asking.
If
If I cared, I wouldn't be asking.
Okay.
He's
not really Pietro.
he's not
Oh,
Pietro.
okay.
He's actually the whole reason that Agent Wu goes there. He's the missing persons. So at the start, when they're like, we've got a missing persons case,
Yes,
and that's
yeah,
what they
yeah,
wrote, it's this guy because that's who Agatha, who ends up being the bad,
Yep.
that's who she
Stole.
she stole to control, like mind control.
Okay. So So he's not. So he doesn't have the Quicksilver powers or anything like that.
She
Or
enables
It's
him
a
to-
created. I got the impression he was entirely fabricated,
No, he's meant to
like
be
the children.
No, he's an actual person from the town. He's the director came out and said he's the missing persons they talk about.
Then, okay.
He-
So there's no rational explanation why he looks exactly like Quicksilver from X-Men. It was
That
just a coincidence.
massive red herring.
Okay.
Oh, really?
I think so.
Shame.
That is very disappointing because I thought it was a really cool thing that they did. They brought in the other Quicksilver and created the very start and useless start, which is where you want to start, of bringing in the X-Men.
No, the bringing in the X-Men part is definitely more. There's a flashback scene. It's like the second last episode, and it's going back to when she was Scarlet Witch is with Hydra, and she's exposed to the scepter and has a vision, and she sees herself as the Scarlet Witch coming out of the Mind Stone,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's meant to signify that's what actually activates her powers.
Her mutant powers.
Mutant powers. So like that's what they're going to lead from.
Yeah, I just think it would have been cool to have that as a very light foreshadowing to have Quicksilver's the actor from the X-Men Quicksilver come in.
It would be great if they just transfer him over.
Yeah.
Even if they
he's
don't
a
have
great
an
actor. Yeah, I'd
explanation.
love to have him in it.
But
like,
they're about the same age. You can go with them being twins. They're
Well, who
doing
knows
multiverse.
what the outcome of the multiverse-
is? Yeah, the blending.
Throw all the
there.
cards in the air and see where they
exactly.
land.
Yeah.
and I guess that could lead us into Falcon Winter Soldier, which was that was fun.
Yes. Yes. I just
hating on it. Go back
No,
to your
it's
fucking
not.
Snyder Cut.
it just have you seen it?
No. It's only episode 1. Just roll into it.
Well, there's
it's
not much
nothing
to
really-
say.
It's just
And that's my disappointment. Like, it was enjoyable. It was fun. It was well constructed. It starts to introduce the
it got
world
pretty
that
dark,
they're in.
actually, towards the end. Got pretty fucking heavy.
It did, but they never meet. So Falcon and Winter Soldier haven't met in the first episode, and presumably they're going to do.
No, they talk about it. Bucky's ignoring Sam's calls and texts.
Yeah, I get
They
that
don't need to hold hands the entire way, Peter.
No, but you've got a buddy cop series where the buddy cops haven't even met. Like, you're supposed to walk in like the start of True Lies, you know, the fucking
Well,
the
we've already got their buddy cop like
dynamic
from Civil War.
Yeah, it was just weird to me that we're watching the first episode of a duo series and the duo didn't even connect at the end. If they just connected at the end, I would have been okay, cool. I watched a whole episode of setup, and it wasn't set up for the characters because obviously they're established in the MCU. It was set up for the
fleshing out their characters.
And where they are in the world at the moment, why they're there, and that's really what it was. It was a backdrop episode to say, this is where we are. This is where the series is going to be set. You met the bad guys briefly, indirectly. Neither of the two main characters actually met them, but yeah. So it was
also
a good
deals
setup.
with the setup of all the fallout of what would happen to someone who was a known superhero post blip, coming back from the blip.
And that was and there was a bit of darkness around that as well.
Yeah,
the rejection of people coming back and the negative impact of the return and. Some people wanting it to go back to how it was when half the world was missing.
Gone.
Yeah. So that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to watch the rest of it. I watched the first episode and it wasn't disappointment. It was just
a fantastic intro action sequence too. And it's and some of it's a lot of Falcon flying, but it's also like as if they had like a GoPro on his head.
Really?
Like
There's some
POV.
pretty really cool shots of him
And you can tell the production value is high as well. They've spent a lot of money on this.
And they're still 30-minute episodes.
45, I think this one was.
45-ish.
Yeah, I think the first and last ones are always more. Same
little bit more,
Same as Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a good returning character in the opening sequence as well. Batrock the Leaper from the start of
from
Winter
Soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's back.
He's good.
Yeah.
I liked him. That fight was great.
Yeah.
On the boat.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
He was back. And I guess the other big thing is they reveal at the end is the new Cap they've got, the US Patriot. Fuck, he looks dumb.
So goofy.
No, it's just he's got really sticky out big ears out of the standard Cap
He's
helmet. And
just a Gumby face.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's not quite. He's definitely not Chris Evans square jawed enough.
No, he doesn't.
And he just looks. I don't know. He just looks weird. Like the costume looks great. Especially knowing who the US Patriot, like what the costume looks like in the comics. Like it's a really good take on it, but it's just, he looks like you'd expect him to be like, hey, like you'd expect him to talk like that.
Yeah. You did remind me of something from Snyder.
You're welcome.
I did say that we'd bring Snyder back up, or the Snyder Cut. I liked that there was a little bit more without too much Green Lantern in Justice League.
And well done Lantern too. Like it looked good.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And it wasn't over the top. It wasn't too obvious. If you weren't a fan, you would have just been, he's one of the background supporting cast. But the rest of us understood the significance of at least him being there because there's supposed to be a Green Lantern in the Justice League.
And Manhunter looks great too.
You know what? I disagree.
Really?
I felt he looked way too CGI. It wasn't even a Vision-esque.
He's a big green Martian man.
But I think they did it better in fucking... Is it Supergirl? Yeah, Supergirl. The CW series.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I really
I need
didn't.
to look at comparison. I saw like the quick.
I didn't rate him.
Quick,
I didn't rate what they did with it.
That small batch one we just had, that was the dry hopped one. I just want to say the I love Vic Secret hop and I hate Galaxy. That
because it's in everything.
Yeah, I just don't, I'm not a fan of Galaxy. I get once
You've
again,
said
I
that
don't know
before,
if
I
I've
think.
used it too much or whatever, but I love Vic Secret. Vic Secret's a fucking excellent hop, and that had
Underwear.
and that had excellent. Vic Secret's got a
Makes me
very
feel sexy.
resinous
Lacy.
character compared to most Australian hops. They it's very comparable to an American hop, and that's what came out. And like obviously there was a big Galaxy hit as well.
Yeah.
But the resiny Vic Secret really carried on through. So this one, I would be expecting to see more deeper aromatic to it rather than a sort of pungent,
You don't get the Galaxy
dry hop
hit.
character.
You don't get the Galaxy hit.
Well, you talk while I try.
It's in fact, it's almost missing something in the front palate, and then you get the juicy hit towards the end, and it's almost oaty right at the end of the palate.
I think I prefer the Snyder Martian Manhunter. The other one looks like a dude who's just got like something glued on his head.
Was it not the same actor?
No, it's the Colonel from...
No, I just looked up. It's definitely a different actor.
It's the Colonel from Man of Steel and...
Yeah.
So he was an excellent choice.
Yes,
Excellent
he was, yeah.
But I would have rather have seen him the same way they did Paul Bettany as Vision. Do...
Just
paint him
good
in some
paint.
prosthetics.
Because I got to say...
And then CG the rest of it.
I've got to say, Paul Bettany's makeup as Vision is
Fucking
some of the
flawless.
best fucking like paint I've ever seen in a movie.
And they obviously touch it up.
Yeah.
But I think it's amazing. There's never a point where you're not convinced he's that color.
But if you look at it, I don't know how they've done it because like I've got because I'm an uber nerd when I did when I dressed up for a Halloween party as fucking oh my god, Darth Maul. What is wrong with my brain tonight? I went online, full nerded out, and ordered the exact color and brand of makeup they used for the fucking movie. And so I've seen
definitely looked it from memory too. Yeah.
So I've seen good quality Hollywood makeup, but if you look closely at Vision's face, there aren't any pores. That is not skin. I would almost like it. It obviously can't be a mask unless it's a razor thin mask.
And
but
they're not going to go and CG
it.
paint it all out.
No,
all the time.
definitely not.
Unless they're just using some sort of deep fake
No,
to digitally do it. Whatever they're doing.
Whatever they're doing. It looks like, you know, that black fucking face peel that you see on the internet or on Instagram all the time where they pull it off and the pore cleansing stuff. It's almost like that sort of thickness of paint because it is an absolutely matte shit. Like
super thin latex over it. Right?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Random. This beer, I prefer this over the first one because you don't get that big hop hit, but it's almost...
So I get a much bigger aroma and like hoppy aroma on this.
And you should.
Yeah.
Yeah, a different sort of aroma.
And it's juicy.
Deeper and juicier, yeah.
Yeah.
With less of that resin.
I think I prefer the other one as a hazy pale. Like it's a little bit easier to drink, a little bit softer. This one has a bit definitely more of that bitterness coming through.
I think we should have done these as a side by side and poured them both at the same time so you could sip from each.
I thought about that.
Because it is kind of...
Too late now.
Yeah. Because there's some obvious differences, but there's also some subtle differences in them as well. I prefer the second.
I think they're both excellent.
Yeah.
And I think they both have their place. So I would definitely start on a couple of these.
Yeah.
And then I would move to
the heavier hitter.
Then I'd move to the dry hop version.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the perfect combination. It's great.
So Black Widow's due July 9.
Now, yes.
And Shang-Chi was delayed until September.
Yeah, and Loki's series is out June 11th, I think.
Yeah, so we're getting regular content. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier will probably take us
I think it's
to July.
I think it's shorter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
Another 8-9 episode.
No, I think it's shorter than WandaVision, actually.
So what, 6 weeks and we're done.
Cost 10 times as much.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Because
Well, I guess they both have two actors in it, but the special effect budget would be for Falcon Winter Soldier would be through the.
They've already gone through what 4 different locations. So compared to one town,
and the VFX for the helicopter scene at the start and the amount of flying that he did, like you've got to assume that costs a fortune to do.
I'm sure.
I felt bad for my neighbors because I really pushed the sound bar up for that one.
I get in trouble now. So when we were rewatching the MCU. Like, we watched all of the movies because the missus hadn't seen most of them. I started getting complaints every night from the neighbors downstairs because my sub faces down. I found if I turn the sub off, if I remember to turn the sub off, I can crank the volume as high as I like. But yeah, because their bedroom is my living room. Stupid.
But yeah, no, it was fun. It was just
it
was fun, and you can see setting up the series like it's going to be fun. But it's also fun to see like they're willing to just like jump around with the styles of TV shows they're going to do.
Yeah.
because Loki's going to be time traveling and weird,
Yeah.
and fun and fantastic. So
And there are no movie stars anymore. They're all just screen
They're
stars.
just actors, yeah. I'm assuming Bucky wears a long sleeve most of the time.
he talks about it at one point because he
Oh, really?
he goes, she's talking to this girl and she's like, "What's with the gloves?" And he's like, "I've got poor circulation." Which I thought was funny. There's this. He's actually
I don't know that. I
there
think,
were some really good like jokes about like his age as well.
Yeah.
The therapist scene was particularly fun as well. I very much enjoyed that.
Who were they talking about that? Oh no, that was Justice League. They made a very funny off-cuff comment about. I think it was Flash that, or it wasn't Flash. It was Barry Allen saying to Aquaman, "Do you think?" And he was talking about Wonder Woman. Do you think she's into younger guys? And he turns around and says, "She's 1,500 years old. Everyone's a younger guy."
Yeah.
Sorry, you just reminded me of that.
Yeah. No, that's good. I would assume that they would put him in a long sleeve most of the time.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
save on.
No, I think there was.
Save on
I also think there's a scene in.
But it felt very
in one of the
natural.
trailers where he's like getting ready for a fight and he just rips the sleeve off and then it's like there's the arm.
Yeah.
So like he'll hide it for as much as he needs to. Yeah.
But the glove comment, what felt natural. It didn't feel like, oh, we're doing this to save money. It
wasn't like a
perfectly-
wink at the camera. It was
Yeah.
like it was a flirty date conversation.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they were playing battleships, which I thought was entertaining as well. No, it was good. It was fun. It was a good setup. I just felt like I wanted to see the two characters come together at the end, and I didn't get it.
It's really funny. I would never have picked, and I guess it is Falcon and Winter Soldier. So the comment I'm about to make is a little bit
Stupid?
superfluous. I would never pick either of those guys as strong enough actors to be lead characters. But after that last Anthony Mackie movie that we watched, that was on Netflix.
Is that the
Well, there was season.
he was the cyborg one?
Yeah, he was the
Army.
android. The android
yeah.
one.
I
That was
still
brilliant.
got to watch that. Yeah.
I really, after seeing that, because I'd watched a couple of other movies that he'd been in, and it was kind of like, yeah, okay, he's a good actor, but he's a support actor.
It was
he's not
crap in the second season of Altered Carbon.
Yeah,
in fact,
terrible.
I blame his acting for them canning the fucking
Getting
series.
cancelled. Yeah, that didn't even. He
I don't
didn't
think
even.
I still haven't watched the second season.
He
of that.
didn't even compare to Joel Kinnaman.
Kinnaman? I think it
something
is,
like
yeah.
that. He didn't even compare to him in the season 2, and I think that's what really destroyed him. Then I watched the movie that had him in it afterwards, where he was the main character. And then when they announced when Falcon Winter Soldier, when he got the shield in Endgame, I'm kind of like, fuck it, like, you're never going to be able to have a movie with him as the main character. And then I've seen the guy who plays Bucky as a supporting actor and a whole bunch of other things too. And once again, he's a really good supporting actor as the buddy of someone, but not as the main guy.
I think the interplay between them is going to be great.
But I think now, I think because of how well they've done the MCU, and they've obviously given these guys and gals a lot more confidence in their role and almost given them free reign to
Take it where they
portray
want to
these
go.
characters. I really feel like these people have gotten more confidence, and now I can quite happily say, yes, I would 100% watch a Falcon movie. Yes, I would 100% watch just a Bucky Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah.
Oh, an espionage Bucky film. I would.
Fuck
would
yeah.
be awesome.
So good.
Yeah. But-
And you've got to hand it to the directors and the obviously the overall executive directors and the producers and all the rest of it. I mean, Chris Hemsworth flat out said, "I'm bored of playing Thor. He's boring to me. Like I've fleshed out the character. I've done two movies plus, 4 movies really by that stage.
No, that was before Ragnarok.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about Ragnarok, where he turned around to them before that started and said, "I want to do something different because this is I'm getting bored." And so they brought in
Taika Waititi.
Thank you, and just totally took it in a new direction. And that's where you really see actors and directors working together to push the edges or the envelope on the character they've already established. They're comfortable, they know where they sit, and they can start to push at it to see where it can go. And on that note, I think, unfortunately, we're going to have to take another break.
Because you keep looking at the timer.
I know, it's driving me nuts. Anyway.
I've had that a couple of times. I like it.
Oh, no, it's more that it's misaligned.
Yeah, I know. No, I gathered that.
Yep. Don't look at it.
See.
we're back.
This is where small batch. I know that there is one. Oh no, it's just the printer on the can. See, this is where they get away with it.
Yeah.
It's too far apart.
I think they did that on purpose.
And they're a much cheaper label. It's a nice label, though. That would actually still be a very expensive label.
They're from Topher, from Wildflower.
Does he print them?
Yeah.
How? Does he print in-house?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Might have to ask him about his printer.
Because, I talked about them. Anyway, for those who are playing at home who aren't watching the video, the small batch, they instead of printing a different label every time, they put the typewriter, old school typewriter style font on there.
Oh, so Topher doesn't print the whole. They get the label printed and then they just add these.
But it's the same labels he uses for his cans and bottles.
Sure. Yep.
And I was just like, sometimes it's really hard to read what the beer is because it doesn't
print properly.
Doesn't print properly. And they're like, well, we have to talk to Topher about that. And I was like, well, I'm not going to argue with him. He's very smart.
I'm sorry. I'm going to peel the label off.
No, don't.
Yeah,
I've got to take photos for the app.
I know. I'm only going to peel a little bit just because I want to have a look at the back of it.
Okay. Do you want to introduce the next beer while Dan
defiles
something about sexual frustration?
Stop
watching him peel the fucking label.
I can't help it.
It
draws you in. It's like a car wreck.
So that for those playing at home, I've just peeled the corner of the small batch label forward. It's got a very papery texture on it. Which would be a fucking nightmare to apply on a wet can. So I don't know whether they do it pre or post filling. Post filling.
A little roller that does it.
Yeah. So this shows as to why it's able to be done post, because it's actually fucking really good high quality label stock. It's like that didn't tear when I went to peel it before, as where the texture on the front would go. It feels like printer paper. As soon as you peel that corner off, it's going to rip off. But
thanks for taking the risk before I took the photos for the episode.
What's that? Yeah, I know. Well, if it had torn off, it would have only torn a little corner off, so it wouldn't have mattered. But no, that's actually really good stock. So that's not a cheap label to have that sort of papery texture on the front on that good a stock.
I think we've reached a new level of beer nerd, though.
Oh, it's just
when we start talking about the
fucking shit I look at, man.
The packaging,
I fucking deal with this shit
labels.
every day.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying it's a whole new level of beer nerd.
Yep.
So what are we drinking now, Tom?
So the next beer we're doing is a
much cheaper labeled can.
Oh, I wouldn't say that. It's got gold on it. Gold, gold, Peter. It doesn't line up.
That's a keeper.
Anyway, it's Moondog. I think it's almost a triple collab. It is Moondog Craft Brewery from Melbourne, and I sourced this on my own. Robbie did not help me this time. And they have collabed with Run the Jewels, who I have just looked up on the Googles. They are an American hip-hop supergroup duo consisting of a Brooklyn-based rapper and an Atlanta-based rapper.
Music you'll never hear playing in any of our cars.
No. Anyway, and it's called No Save Point Hazy IPA, which is apparently a reference to Cyberpunk.
Okay.
And something about the hand gesture as well. I don't know. Anyway,
it's a fist bump.
Oh no, it's not the one I've tried.
It's a fist. It's a disembodied fist,
but
holding hops.
And then a gun thing. It might actually be the rappers
and a gun hand.
I think that's
facing
what
that's
fist. Their symbols. These two rappers do.
Because no one's watching the video. So
when it first came out, and Robbie was like, "Do you want a keg of it?" And I was like, A, who are Run the Jewels? And B, Cyberpunk's fucked, so no. But he was like, it's got to do with Cyberpunk. You like gaming? And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Anyway, so that's I guess a little weird three-way collab.
Zombie fist bump
I'd like to know.
I'll find out. Yeah,
what the reference is there.
I know
who's the third collaborator? I guess the two.
The
rappers.
And
Moondog,
and then Cyberpunk.
Okay,
but that's
they didn't collab on it.
They might have. I don't know.
Yeah.
Stop making up shit. I might be able to fly just because I've never flown.
I didn't listen.
unless they had something to do with the Cyberpunk soundtrack, because there was a lot of real world artists that did a lot of new
maybe
songs.
That was it.
That would make sense.
They might have done a lot of new songs. Well, I shouldn't have said they might have. They might have done one of the new songs that was actually part of Cyberpunk. So they actually started to release those artists' songs as lead up to the game release.
Okay.
So they were all put on. So there was Night City Wire that came out I think it was meant to come out every month towards lead-in that was talking about vehicles and weapons and missions and all that sort of stuff. And then
You've got
one
to
of them,
drive too.
and
Yeah.
one of them
It's
was
only
talking.
6.5.
One of them was talking about the music side of it, and then they were releasing songs too. So
Yeah, okay.
it could be one. We might have to look that up. So we're not
I
inaccurately saying
will
things.
look in my expansive inbox of emails I don't read.
I
Sorry,
like-
any reps listening to this, but yeah, usually I don't read your emails.
I like that. I like that font.
Are there any tasting notes on the can?
Oh, is there? No, there's not. No, not at all. Hazy IPA. No, nothing.
Oh,
Nada.
Jesus. Yeah,
No
wow.
Save Point Hazy IPA is part of a global collab between RTJ, Cyberpunk 2077, and 11 breweries worldwide.
What?
So Moondog was the Australian brewery that got to brew this beer.
Motherfuckers. Okay. Yep.
Probably because they heard what you said about Cyberpunk. They didn't let you have it.
I was really nice all the way, and I still have faith that CD Projekt Red are gonna fucking pull that shit out, and
There'll be
in
a
5
Snyder
years,
Cut.
5 years time, it's gonna be a fucking amazing game.
Um,
And I'm gonna go and spend money on a proper physical copy next time they release it.
So they said it's one-of-a-kind IPA, features the best of Aussie and American hops, Strider and Galaxy to create a juicy, fruity citrus flavor and aroma. Smooth malt dictates the solid hazy appearance, and a hint of bitterness finishes this IPA off.
okay.
I wouldn't say it's a hint of bitterness.
No, it's really bitter forward.
It's funny because they say that in the little picture blurb, but then if you actually read what Robbie writes in the email, he says a bang of bitterness.
Yeah, a bang is a much
Yeah.
closer reference to it.
Yeah.
It's very hop forward. You get that real acidic.
It'd be interesting to know who the other 11 breweries that made it were.
It would be.
So what they've basically just sent the recipe to 11 breweries worldwide and made it locally. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. We'd have to look into it more.
No, I mean, knowing Moondog, we're meant to do. I was meant to go down for it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to. But they did the Moondog International Invitational,
Okay.
which we had a bunch of breweries that they've collabed with in the past and stuff, and they're well over 11 in that. So I imagine there'd be some of them.
Well, no one's
They're from all
flying
over.
anywhere at the moment, right? So internationally,
No.
so it would make sense if you wanted to do an international release of locally crafted beer in major country groups, then send the recipe over and
Yeah.
very very orange peel up front.
Yeah, it's definitely got a dankness to it.
Yeah,
I thought it was a
not
bit
too
of age.
overpowering though.
No, I thought it was a bit of aged with the first mouthful and whiff, but I think it's just hop dankness. Now I've had the second mouthful. Yeah.
It's good. I think it would be a palate fatiguer.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
You'd burn out.
You
Yeah,
couldn't let it warm up at all.
I'd smash this one first, and then move on to something like that.
Yeah. What were you pointing to?
The
small batches.
2 small batch
Yeah,
ones.
a lot of galaxy. Wow, starting slow. A lot of galaxy tonight.
Yeah, probably does actually.
3 beers out of 5 that were hopped with galaxy. I have one minor thing to bring up, and that's that they've cast Dame Helen.
Helen Mirren.
Thank you. I was going to say Keller.
How
And we would have had
good.
that whole Clerks fucking dialogue. Dame Helen Mirren as the big bad in the follow-up to Shazam.
Okay.
She's a solid actress.
Oh, she's fucking amazing. I
She
love her.
is
she's
one
damed.
of the most glorious women on the planet.
Yep.
and
Yep.
and dynamic as an actress too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good pickup.
Yeah.
That they've
That's
cast
huge.
Her. Yep, and
She was I loved her in Red.
I was just
too.
about to say in
Yes.
red.
She's so funny in those movies.
I've never seen the second one, but I've seen the
it's
trailers
just as
for
good
it.
as the first.
Oh,
It
really?
really genuinely is.
Okay, right. Yeah, I'll have to watch it then. Her and fucking John Malkovich.
But even how,
Fucking pig.
but even when she's sniping at the edge and she's
you
talking to the
reminded me.
girlfriend.
Red, Bruce Willis. I'll put this down. We need to talk about this next.
Okay. Yeah, so I just thought it was interesting. They've
No, that's
cast her as
great
a big
pickup,
bad.
yeah.
And the other thing is, she's cast as a character that doesn't exist in the comic source.
Oh, okay. That's. I was just trying to run
cool.
through my head who she would be. I don't know enough about
Son-
Shazam to.
Son of Hespera, the son of Atlas, who is one of the 7 gods that gives Shazam his power. I can't even remember the name of them. Shazam, Fury of the Gods.
That's the movie, is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm clearly a little bit lost with the Shazam movies because I was under the impression that Dwayne Johnson had signed on as Black Adam and Black Adam would be the big bad in the second Shazam movie, but
Black
apparently
Adam-
he's in his own fucking movie.
And he's meant to be a bit more like anti-hero like Punisher.
Yeah, so they've
And like Venom. Like it's meant to be like kind of like Venom, how he's like, are you killing people willy-nilly or are you saving everybody?
they've brought Black Adam around in recent years. So he used to be just straight up and down bad guy. Part of the
and he was the opposing force to Shazam in a lot of it.
Yeah. So they've really brought him around. I think he's actually a member of the Justice League now in the comics.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like right now that's the
new 53.
Justice.
That's also kind of like,
totally calling
Magneto.
it New 53.
Magneto often is a member of the X-Men, and then next comic book he's like, nah, wait, you're still the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Once again, I don't know whether DC's got enough balls to do things like that, even in the comic book side of it these days. But
I love the idea of Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam. I think he's perfectly cast for that role, and I'm interested to see the character.
Perfectly cut. Dude's got a rig and a half. God, he's huge. Scary.
I wonder whether this is chicken or egg. I wonder whether they always had this intention of doing this, Black Adam bringing him back around to being hero. Well, not back around, bringing him to the hero side in the comic books, or whether it's we need to bring him over before Dwayne Johnson plays him as a hero in the movie.
But
I reckon it's definitely because of Dwayne Johnson, because that movie's been in limbo for years.
I think
that's
I didn't
enough
know it was
time
a movie.
to. But that means the same. Like,
has it always been its own movie?
Yeah.
Did I just misread the fucking?
It was always.
He's been talking about it for years. He's always wanted to do Black Adam. But it's the same with like how they, when Fox were trying to push the X-Men films, suddenly the X-Men comics just ran out. It's just like, well, I'm not doing them anymore. It's just like they definitely do that, like
on purpose. Yeah,
on purpose. They react to it. But it's. I reckon. Definitely, they've turned him around into like a Justice League character because
of Dwayne Johnson. Yeah,
that's a shame because I would have loved to have seen him as a bad guy.
I think Tom's exactly right. He'll be that anti-hero, and I guess Venom's always kind of been a bit of an anti-hero in the comic books as well. But he's
also been flat out evil.
He was a straight-up villain. Yeah.
He's not as bad as Carnage.
No,
but he's definitely well on that path.
He's nuts as opposed to evil.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go back. Spider-Man being my jam. Most of the Venom comics I've got, he's just bonkers. He's got voices in his head. In his head. It's almost like he has split personality, as opposed to Carnage,
actually,
who is a straight up
split personality.
Eric does, yeah,
but Carnage is a straight up psychotic killer before he bonds with.
That's
the
right.
Yeah.
He just wants to kill everything.
Yeah.
So they always had very different personalities. What else? You had 4 topics and you've spoken about precisely 0 because we keep cutting you off.
No. So that was just going on to Bruce Willis in Red made me think of it, was that horrible movie that I spoke about in the chat, Breach. It was a Bruce Willis movie. I put it in the chat probably 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I'd seen that Cosmic Sin trailer. That's a new
Space Zombies.
Space Zombies.
Yeah.
Bruce Willis in Space Zombies, like Dead Space-ish kind of movie. And it looked really good. And there was someone...
There are a few people in it.
Crossbones. Crossbones is in it.
I've seen
Frank Grillo.
Is it Netflix?
There you go. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it might be.
It's on definitely on one of the subscribing... I
saw the trailer on... I think it came up as like a YouTube ad.
I saw it on YouTube. Yeah. So did I. Yeah. So it looks really good. Whether it will be or not is another thing. So I saw Bruce Willis.
Kind of reminded me a bit of Aliens or Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Horizon was
much more actiony than any of those.
Yeah.
Then this Bruce Willis space zombie thing was on the PlayStation Network, and I said to Louise, I watched the trailer for that the other day. It looks really good. We watched it, and we're like, what the fuck is this? No word of a lie. My limited 6 months fiddling around with After Effects, I could fucking do that. Like, it was straight off the shelf. Like, watch some YouTube
download
tutorials.
Some templates.
You could do it purely in After Effects. Just go to the Video Copilot website, the guys who do the Saber plugin, and you could do the special effects. Other than one of the CGI monsters that they have in there. But they do these... Oh God! It just doesn't fucking make sense. Like it was such
that
a.
Was
fucking,
Dan banging his head against the mic?
It was such a fucking. And we watched the whole thing just jaws to the ground because it was so bad.
Was it supposed to be like a 420 movie where it suddenly makes so much more sense if you're dead ass stoned?
I don't know. Maybe it probably would have been much better stoned. So we made that
because there
mistake.
are movies that have been made specifically to watch stoned off your brain.
100%. This wasn't. This was definitely people just
Like
They
everything.
either didn't have enough money to put into the budget, but there were some big names in it. Like Bruce Willis was in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's done some pretty shit movies lately. But seriously, it's
Die Hard 4.0.
It's literally it's got Thomas Jane in it as well.
I'm just looking at it now. I'm just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Thomas Jane.
So that Thomas Jane in there was the seller for me to watch it
Yeah.
as well because I love Thomas Jane. And there was at one point, so they end up on this generation ship leaving Earth.
Even the tagline.
Oh, I didn't read the tagline.
Deep in space, they are not alone. Sorry, what?
So
Tell me that's not a... Maybe it's designed to be a piss take because that's an absolute rip from the Aliens
it's
tagline.
not filmed like a piss take. There was one point where
Maybe it's meta.
half the ship goes into cryo. And there's the premise is this guy gets on the ship.
The premise is passengers.
The guy gets on the ship with the girlfriend that's pregnant. She's the daughter of Thomas Jane, who's the general leading the generation ship out to the new Earth planet.
Yep.
And she goes into cryo because she's one of the high-valued travelers. And then he stays awake because he's a fucking janitor.
Of course he is.
And then there's a few people that are left awake.
That was in the trailer, actually, that he was the fucking janitor.
I don't think it was, but then he walks her to the cryo chamber, the cryo bed that she's going to go in.
Produced by the guys who produced the Power Rangers TV show.
Oh,
The TV show, not even the fucking movie.
God damn, that explains a little bit. In this cryo chamber, there's 2 fucking cryo beds, and he's talking to her, and then I don't know whether it was a green screen or whether it was like a very bad, like it looks like it was a high-res image that was this big and then they've blown it up to wall size. It was so fucking pixelated and literally it was meant to show the depth of the cryo bay.
Yeah.
And it looks like a special effects placeholder. It looks like
Right.
it was there
Yeah.
for someone to go in later
Were they,
on.
were they
image.
trying to do like the when you take a photo and like those mirror like and it's a mirror
Yeah,
behind you?
kind of
I
like
wonder
that.
if you
Yeah.
pause the episode, there'd still be the watermark from like Getty Images or
Oh,
something.
there probably was. You probably see where they've painted it out. That's probably the only thing that they've painted out. It was so fucking bad. It literally looks like they'd blown up a high-res little picture to wall size and just no one had gone back in later on. And you were meant to get that depth of...
and
you
just didn't.
just didn't. And then the all the guns they're firing are quite blatantly the actors like jerking the gun to feel like it's...
You say that, right? And I totally understand what you're saying. It felt plastic, flimsy, the space guns.
They were literally painted Nerf guns. Literally painted Nerf guns. I could see them because I've painted Nerf guns.
Yeah, if you look at the one like that Bruce Willis is holding in like one of the still things from the image, it's just like it looks like the orange gun you used to make with your dad in the backyard.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he continued with the project. I mean, Bruce Willis has
He
played
got
in.
paid. He didn't
He's-
care.
yeah.
He went there for a week, got a couple of $1 million and
Yeah.
way out the door.
I just, guys that have worked with actual firearms in movies, which Bruce clearly has, even in
Oh, yeah.
Red and Red 2, right?
Yeah.
You pick up something that weighs 5 grams, you just go, yeah, nah, I'm not doing this shit.
They were picking these things up, and you could tell they were Nerf guns because of
The lack of weight.
because of how they were picking them up and the way they were just moving with them. There was
No inertia
weight,
whatsoever.
no weight to
Yeah.
them whatsoever, and they were fresh out from being painted. There was no and it was a fucking dirty shit too. Like I mean,
Yeah.
what this janitor, you see him cleaning the bathroom at times. Like that's how exciting this movie was. Like you actually see the janitor cleaning the bathroom.
We're going to finish on this. This is such a low note. That's
These
great.
fucking pigs that we use in this fucking bathroom, it's like there's been shit smeared on the walls, on the fucking cubicle doors. It's meant to be this state-of-the-art fucking cryo ship to take the next generation of people
Yep.
to the second Earth.
Yeah.
And there's like shit smeared on the fucking, on the cubicle doors. It was like pub toilets times 100.
Wow.
Maybe it's them coming. Is it the people coming out of cryo sleep when they get like
have
the Han
no
Solo
aim.
blindness and they just like
They've got
miss?
no aim.
Yeah.
Explosive diarrhea
Yeah,
from
yeah.
being cryo, being fed through a intravenous drip. For
Or
the
just
last
before they
6
come out
minutes.
of cryo, they give them the biggest coffee known to man, and it just shoots out their entire system.
It's very meta. It's very subtle.
Yeah, but it was oh my god, it was so fucking bad. But
To someone at one point in a very croaky voice, like Bush, the Leia's bounty hunter, go, "You're suffering the cryo sickness."
actually, I don't remember anybody saying it, but there probably was some talk about cryo sickness.
Oddly, your accent reminds me that I am super fucking excited for the Dune remake. I have no idea why that voice made me think of it, but Dune's coming soon.
Well, it's a good time to get off Breach and go to something that's actually good.
Well, we've got about 9 minutes left, but I mean, there's not much to say about Dune other than the trailer looks fucking spectacular.
Yeah, but that director is amazing. He did
Who's the director?
the French guy who did Blade Runner 2049, which is fucking amazing.
Yeah, my
And I mean,
unpopular viewpoint that I thoroughly enjoyed the shit out of that movie too.
Anybody who's seen that movie, who spent the time to watch
Got
that movie,
smashed
I don't
by the
think-
critics.
Fuck the critics. They don't know what they're talking about.
I'd like to check Rotten Potatoes or Metacritic for
Rotten
for
Potatoes.
briefs.
There you go.
Just because your girlfriend's Irish.
episode
It's
title.
the sister Satanate. It's the Rotten Potatoes.
Rotten Potatoes.
Yeah, Rotten Potato ratings.
Rate us on Rotten Potatoes. RottenPotatoes.com.
I mean, I guess you can see that director has a.
That's the porn movie rating website. Instead of Rotten Tomatoes is for Hollywood, Rotten Potatoes is for the porn movies.
you can see that
Irish cinema.
This French director of his has a theme. He takes old 80s films and brings them back.
Brings them back. Yeah.
Yeah, but Dune looks great. The aesthetic and everything to it
Yeah.
looks fucking fantastic.
That was probably, along with Star Wars, that's probably the first real gritty sci-fi I ever watched as a
that
kid.
movie's terrible.
Star Wars,
No, yeah, Star Wars is terrible, Pete. Yes,
the original Dune movie.
yeah, with Sting. That one,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
it's
with
terrible.
Sting.
Absolutely
It was
terrible.
3 hours long.
Terrible.
Sting was in one of the Star Treks, wasn't he? No.
Was he?
This guy who looks like Sting is in the Star Trek. I think he's the Khan. I always got them mixed up.
It'd have to
Yeah.
be like a corpse. How old is Sting now?
Oh, he's pretty old.
Yeah, he's
No, but this is-
starting to look like
But
Mick Jagger
Sting,
with a...
Yeah, but Sting's tantric man.
Okay.
He's survived a long time. His tantric learnings.
Sleeps upside down. Like in Wayne's World. That's how I met Keith Richards.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, go back and watch that original Dune. It's
Yeah, I
Just
will.
hasn't
I haven't-
aged well,
I haven't
or-
seen
terrible. Sorry,
It was...
No,
I
it was
remember it
never-
being slow as fuck.
it was never.
Well, the
a good
book's
movie.
meant to be pretty slow, isn't it?
It's
I
not
mean-
slow. It's like 1,000 pages, 1,200 pages.
I think you and
There's
me were
8 of
talking
them.
about it. Well, I've never made it through the first one. I love Dune, but I've never made it through the first book.
Yeah, right.
Maybe it was my brother-in-law Sean.
Might have been Chris. Chris
No,
loved
no.
Dune.
It was either you or Sean, my brother-in-law, that because we were talking about sci-fi books.
Yep.
And we've both said we've never gotten through the original Dune.
I've read some great sci-fi books. I wish they would turn into movies, but
Well, the three-part,
it would have translated better,
Yeah.
to be honest.
the original, not the original, the remake, the three-part TV series of Dune
It wasn't... It was a
was good.
telemovie.
It was definitely a telemovie, but it was far better than the original Dune movie.
Yeah, movie.
Oh, speaking of good sci-fi books.
Which is on. If you want to watch that Dune, the three-part series, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
We should talk about more novels. So do
I
lead
haven't-
into it, but
well, I haven't really read a novel
next episode I
10
will
years.
talk about Peter F. Hamilton.
except for the Star Wars, the book we both read, the what was the name of it? The alternate view of A New Hope.
Yes, from a certain point of view.
From a certain point of view.
Have you read Empire one yet?
No.
Yeah. Is that where you were going?
Yeah. I only found out they've done. Have they released the return?
Yeah, it got released a couple of weeks. Oh no, Empire one got released
Empire
a couple
1's
of weeks ago.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very keen for that.
Yeah, me too.
I expected because it was
This a novel or a comic?
No novel.
Okay.
We've talked about it before. It's
Collection of short stories.
Yeah, right.
but it follows the chapters of the movie.
Yep.
And each chapter is so you get instead of R2 and C3PO's view of the Sandcrawler, you get it from
I do remember us talking about
Red
this.
Fives. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's one that follows a mouse droid on
Yeah.
the Death Star, passing
That's cool.
notes. The mouse droid is literally passing notes between an officer and his lower lover. And that's what they use the mouse droid for, and then it gets to a point where they're passing obviously unspeakable notes to each other or unwritable notes. So they're deleting the mouse droid's memory. So every couple of paragraphs it leads in with.
I have no idea why I'm
memory.
here.
No, we'll memory wipe. It leads into it leads in with the data.
Right.
The memory wipe data boot up.
Very, very
this,
well written
that.
book.
And
Yeah.
then that's only one story that just stuck out in my head because it was really clever.
I'll have to check out
different
the
point
book.
of view.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I'm looking for something to read at the moment.
And it's super easy to read. It's not that
Yeah.
long, and then
Because each one's only maybe 10 pages long, and then you can just put it down and go back to it whenever the fuck you want.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And the story,
but it's
the
the
arc that it's
timeline.
set in.
But that's the fun thing about it, is that as you're reading that, like, you're invested in the story of whatever character you're reading about, but then you're like the parallel
You're also putting in the context of what's going on in the rest in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
In the rest of the world.
reminds me of the I don't know if you ever played the Third Age, the Lord of the Rings game, The Third Age, back on the PS2.
No.
It was, you had your own little fellowship that ran parallel to the other
I
and
do
you
remember
sometimes
hearing that,
crossed over. That was an excellent game. If anyone from EA is listening, please remake that.
That reminds me, I'll just make a note for a different one for next week or for next time. There's a new third-person D&D game.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
But third-person action.
Called?
I don't know. That's why I'm putting it down for next time so I can get some more notes.
No, I think it's Dungeons and Dragons something.
Yeah.
Cool.
But it's a third-person action 4-player co-op.
Oh, yes.
Story-driven, not.
Sign me up.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
that'll be the
involved.
Divinity 2 replacer. I've got to dig up my copy of Divinity 2. We talked about it on the last episode.
Don't do what Chris did when me and him were playing Dead Space 3 and we spent weeks waiting to play it again because he's like, I fucking lost my copy. I don't know where it is. Like, I've torn the house apart looking for
Chris
the
loses
copy.
fucking everything.
And then he realized he'd digitally bought it.
That's actually a really good point. But I want to find it so I can transfer it to the PS5 because we'll play it on PS5, which means I need to import the save games and test it and all the rest of it.
Well, I've got the...
Yeah, okay, so I can join you.
Yeah, so
anyway, it's a conversation that the podcast listeners don't care about.
Yes.
Yes, but definitely D&D. We'll talk about that next episode, along with the my favorite author for science fiction novels, which you and I have talked about at length.
Yes. So on D&D, if we ever want to start a game, sorry, that got a little
I like how all our heads
close
back then.
Close and creepy. There's a app called Roll20,
Yes,
and
we've used it. We literally used it, or at least I used
We
it.
can play from afar.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
That must be a new feature.
There's a new online feature. Yeah, well, I guess they brought it in for COVID.
Yes.
that makes a lot of sense.
It was one of my YouTube ads the other day, and it was...
Does the DM sit there and type out what you're looking at and smelling and seeing?
old school.
Can
And
you
then
imagine that?
you reply in text.
It's a text-based fucking
text-based.
RPG for your Amiga.
So they have all the maps that you can bring
cool.
up, and
Cool.
it's all grid based,
Yep.
and you can
Fog of War and-
little player icons on there.
Yeah,
and,
cool.
And then you can put your video chat.
This is bringing back
Up
way
there.
too many memories. I don't think this is new. I think this is old.
I don't know.
Because there's been online versions or online implementations of D&D for a long time where people could literally play on the other side of the planet in a campaign with a bunch of people. So
Well, Emma's dad does that. He's back in Boston. He plays this Civil War role-playing game, but it's all done over email.
Email.
Email. The
well,
game.
Fucking
that's
hell.
old school RPG, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
pen and
yeah.
paper RPG.
And we always give him shit for it because it's just like, it's the...
Who's winning the war?
Yeah, it's just like...
It's going to take longer than a Civil War.
Oh, no, it does. It does. It literally takes him like a couple of months to finish a campaign.
Fucking hell.
And it's literally like, like the emails are like, hi, so-and-so, hope you're well. Just so you know, I've moved my forces there and I'm attacking using this. Kind regards, Michael.
That is
And
bizarre.
I'm like, but whenever he was writing one last time we were able to visit, and it was just like, I just sat there and I was like, we'd been sharing some beers. We were a bit pissed at the time. And I was just like making like Morse code noises, like,
This just in.
yeah.
All right, I think that we're going to have to leave it on that note. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.